television.
Yes.
Doesn't he
magical.
like fetching?
Magic box.
I don't really care about your good looks, Dan, but I'm watching that beautiful cigar, and I'm thinking, man, that would be good. You know,
Yeah.
a fine Maduro cigar.
Maybe
I'm not
in the
under
next segment. Yeah.
I'm not under threat from the left for smoking while I work, unlike that DHS agent that smoked a cigar after they had completed an operation in which they apparently took an illegal alien into custody, and he lit up a cigar. Hey, it's a smoke break.
Yeah.
And then now the left wants him fired. I don't know why.
Unbelievable.
I guess they perceived it as like a victory cigar or something. It's not a victory cigar. It's just he enjoys cigars. He's a cigar aficionado like myself. Leave the guy alone.
When you're testifying in city council, why can't you have a cigar?
Well, I mean, when cigars were bad, I even tweeted out, cigars were okay when Clinton did it in the Oval Office.
Oh, okay.
Hey, too soon? Sorry.
Well,
No,
as,
it's not too. It's too. Eternity
the
would be too
hypocrisy.
soon for
Please don't denigrate cigar smoking.
Right.
As Rudyard Kipling famously observed, a woman is but a woman, but a cigar is a smoke.
Oh.
I want you to think about that.
Okay.
We have a great meeting of the minds here today, but of course it pales in comparison to a meeting of three minds that happened just a few days ago. I'm talking, of course, about Jim Acosta and Sean Penn and Eric Swalwell pouring over the Trump administration's performance, in which Sean Penn. Do we call them state-run actors now with the tariffs and
Whatever.
incentives?
He looks bad. He's had some hard living. Did you see him?
No.
He looked awful.
Yeah. Is he still with Charlize Theron?
No, she broke up with him.
He's not
she was
on my
onto
radar.
him.
Sorry to hear that. Anyway, Sean Penn offered this subsidized take on the Trump administration.
Before Bukele gets to that point where he's dealing with another leader, we should consider worst-case scenarios. And I do think it's a reasonable theory that Donald Trump is not unlike the spouse of someone who leaves him perhaps for another, who then murders their former partner because if they can't have her, nobody can. And I think Donald Trump in his solipsism may have that relationship with the world. And that this destruction is in part a power play and also a literal intention of his final out.
Did he use the word solo?
Do you think he'll try to stay on?
I think
he might.
I think that's the same thing Madonna said about Sean Penn, ironically.
Oh, hey-oh.
Rob Long is a former writer and producer for Cheers. He's also the co-founder of Ricochet and host of the Martini Shot podcast. Rob, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
I'm happy to join you. Now, I kind of want to light up smoke now that I'm you guys.
Please do.
It's a little early
Smoke
for
'em
me.
if you got 'em.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a lightweight. It's too early for a smoke. But
Well, I mean, a
1 in the
breakfast
afternoon.
cigar is a great way to start the day, I got to say.
I do like that phrase. Breakfast cigar. There you go.
So, Rob, your most recent, one of your most recent Martini Shot podcasts, you sort of analogized an experience you had in Hollywood to, the macroeconomic policies that are being hotly debated at present, and I just wanted to get your take on both the state incentives, come shoot your film in Chicago or Atlanta, that have been longstanding to try to attract the movie business to particular states and cities, and now overlaid with the proposed Trump tariff to protect Hollywood to make sure that Paddington's next sequel is not shot in Peru.
Well, those are two things, sort of. The local subsidies, they always sound good, right? People always talk about how they like that. Oh, that's like, we're going to bring the movie business here or there. The movie business really isn't big enough or lucrative enough to do that. In fact, whenever they do economic studies of these incentives, it always comes out that at best they broke even, which kind of means they lost money. And it's an incredible gift. I mean, I ran a TV show. It was New York State, and I showed up, and they showed me the budget, and the budget was, it was expensive, right? Obviously, we're shooting a big network comedy, but we got hundreds of thousands of dollars back every episode in cash from the state. I'm like, isn't this great? Wow. And the response wasn't, and if we really do it cheaply, we can save a lot of money. The response from everybody, of course, is always the same: is now we have an extra $300,000 to spend. And so essentially the state, the taxpayers in New York State were subsidizing What the biggest line item on any budget is usually what we call above the line items, and those are actors, directors, and writers, and people like me, and people like the star. And all they're doing is subsidizing those budgets. Money's fungible, so it goes wherever it goes. And it doesn't necessarily build an industry because Hollywood's boom and bust. So it seems like a really cool idea, but the actual cost on the people, on the taxpayers, on the state, on people giving out the subsidies are too high. And it's just another instance, I think, of a popular industry like Hollywood getting its bills paid by somebody else.
Well, it's also it's always sold like the Illinois Film Office. Of course, the state of Illinois has a film office.
Yeah.
They don't tout like, oh, we're going to be able to pay this A-list actor a few $100,000 more. It's always it's union trade jobs and things like that. That right and you're suggesting that that's not exactly where the taxpayer money ends up.
That's all right. Look, they do also. They always put those requirements in. In New York City, you have to construct a set, not shoot on location at least one day or something. And you used to have an hour, so you had to hire some carpenters, you had to hire some crew, but that's not necessarily a smart thing to do.
Don't forget the caterers.
The caterers. Listen, hey, that's what makes that run. That's exactly right.
Call Ron and
absolutely
right.
But the truth is, the numbers don't work out. It's like you're not creating a giant carpentry business. You're just kind of hiring some people for a shoot in a business that's totally unpredictable. That's a boom and bust. Look, they built all these sound stages in New York State, especially. They built all this stuff. They invested all this stuff in this because they thought, the movie business is expanding; it'll never shrink. And now the movie business is having an absolute heartbreaking and terrible recession. I mean, people in LA are moving out. There's no work, and so there's just empty sound stages. It's like you don't need to do anything. Look, people want to make movies. They've got to make movies. You don't have to pay them to make movies.
And so, what you mean? The taxpayer shouldn't be forced to pay them to make movies, right?
Yeah.
Right,
exactly.
They got to make dog movies.
Yeah, that's right.
Movies that people want to see.
Yeah, more like cop dog buddy movies.
Yeah, like
K-9. Yeah, that's what.
Like Turner and Hooch.
Like Turner and Hooch. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Turner and Hooch. That's what it was. Yeah. Jim Belushi, right? Yeah.
A great actor.
No, it was Tom Hanks, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was Tom Hanks. Well, it was Jim Belushi and I'm conflating
Dog de
films.
Bordeaux.
I'm conflating buddy cop films. I can't distinguish between dogs and some of these actors.
I don't know how you could possibly do that. They're so distinct.
Yes. So this recession that's going on in Hollywood that you're discussing, is that creative destruction, or is that too much foreign competition? The other countries are subsidizing their film industry more, so we need to protect our film industry.
No, I mean, but God, the worst thing we could do is protect our film industry. No, what it means is the reason recession isn't really the foreign competition. It's that they built too much. Look, everybody knows that. How many streaming services do you not get and do you get? Like the idea that we all had all this time. Look, I mean, they built Hulu and Paramount and Netflix and Max and
HBO Max,
Tubi, and it's HBO Max. And it's like there's so many of them you can't keep track, right? And Americans are not subscribing to all of them, so they spent too much money. I mean, look, this is a big economic argument. Netflix decided to do this at a time when interest rates were basically zero, so they could go to the banks or to Wall Street and they could just borrow money at 0%. Basically, it's all borrowed money. It's like these are bonds, not stock price. And they decided to make TV shows, and they made so many of them. I mean, I think about a third of the things that are on the Netflix servers, like no one has ever seen. So they made TV shows that nobody watched, and then everybody had to also make TV shows that nobody watched. So pretty much, we've all had that experience. Like people will say, "Hey, you're watching this show?" You're like, "I've never heard of it." That's a sign that there was overbuilding. That's a bubble. That's what that is. And now the bubble's popped, and everybody's got to figure out what to do next. But this is a normal economic thing. It does not need the government's help. It does not need a government intervention. It certainly doesn't need any taxpayer money. Let these guys sort it out themselves. Some people will stay in the business and do great. Some people will learn to do something else, and that is how it's supposed to work.
Exactly.
Well, why isn't there any good sitcom or even like thriller series on network TV anymore? Did all the talent migrated to Apple and Paramount Plus? What's going on there?
Well, no, I mean, there's some. I mean, I don't know. There's some good comedies on TV. Most of the good comedies, I think, are on broadcast. I wish that they were making more of them because that's what I do. And at some point, they decided to stop making them. And so at some point, I, kind of like did other things. But the truth about it is that you can find good shows everywhere. It's just that there's so many of them, it's hard to find. So it feels like there aren't any good comedies. I mean, I think there's a couple good comedies on broadcast. I think CBS has a funny show called Ghosts. And they have another funny little comedy mystery show called Elspeth that's pretty good. And they have other things on that are actually doing well, but in a universe of 9 billion jillion shows.
Yeah.
Look, it takes you longer sometimes to find the show than it takes you to watch it.
Rob, isn't faith-based stuff hot right now?
Yeah. Well,
I've downloaded the Chosen app and I watch that on my phone, and
The guys who are doing The Chosen are doing great. I mean, and they are. I don't know where they are in it, in the story, but they're, they are meticulously going through it, and they've managed to do a thing that as you said to me 5-10 years ago, they're going to, some people are going to be doing this, what is essentially kind of a harmonized New Testament, and we're going to put it on TV. Or the Gospels, really. I would have said, that's insane, never do it. That's going to be a big problem. But these guys did it, mostly because they have the credibility in that community to do it. And then there's the story of David. They're doing David, too. I mean, look, if you read the Hebrew Bible, I mean, there is
a lot of violence
there. It is a movie and a half. That stuff is like, you talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My God, that's like compared to what you got. The Hebrew Bible, you got all this great stuff, and a lot of it, and it's crazy and bloody and passionate, and it's perfect. I mean, you do not have to come up with new stories. There are no new stories. The old stories are just being repeated, which is the way it's supposed to be.
Just like Bonanza, go to the Old Testament, pull out a script, right?
We don't have to go that far, but yeah, basically yes.
Well, so it's interesting. So we're in a medium that is undergoing a transformation, like newspapers did, like Hollywood is now. Where you have to sort of rethink what the revenue model is in order to be successful. And so, where is Hollywood and the movie and television industry right now? How do you think this winds itself out in, say, the next 5 years?
Well, I'm a professional optimist. I believe in that things get better, and that it's going to get better because people are going to figure it out. So what I think is going to happen is what I think really happened was that the companies and the creatives just got too far away from the customer. And so they ended up doing stuff that the customer was like, oh, that's fine, but I don't love it. I mean, I don't need it. I don't need this. I don't need that. I mean, remember, what built Netflix? The reason that Netflix is Netflix isn't really so much that they used to rent DVDs to you. It's just that when they started a streaming service, they had on popular reruns that people wanted to watch. They made their business on The Office, on Friends, on Cheers reruns. That's what was there's a top 4 or 5 shows on Netflix for years running. And instead of learning from that and saying, okay, what's what we need to do? We need to come up with shows just like this. They decided, well, we don't want that. Let's come up with something more weird and sophisticated, and that demands that the viewer watch 4 episodes of incredibly boring backstory before the story begins. All of that stuff drove the customer away at a time when the customer had some real choices, especially the young ones. I mean, I don't know if you know any young people, but they can sit there for 2 hours scrolling through TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's destroying their brain, and I think it's dangerous, but they could do it. And I'd rather have them sitting, for 2 hours slack-jawed in front of a show that I made because I get paid for that, right? So, the business will figure it out because the best thing about Hollywood is that it is decentralized chaos. So there isn't, there aren't like these, they don't have a big meeting ahead of time and decide what they're going to do. They're just all making it up as they go along. And there isn't that much that they're invested in except the intellectual property and kind of the creative minds of the people who work there. So they're going to figure this out. The question is whether they're going to do something dumb in Washington, like, help them. Usually when Washington comes to help you, it doesn't really matter who the president is. And there's a lot about this one that is, you can really praise. And this particular part of it is just stupid. Do not do this. Do not get involved in this. Do not touch this hot stove. Let the people who have the skin in the game sort it out. And they will.
What about the woke agenda shows? Like, I'm hearing, I don't watch it, but I'm hearing Victor Davis Hanson lament about The Last of Us, where the Pedro Pascal is killed off.
What if people
Oh,
haven't
spoiler
seen
alert.
that episode yet? No, it happened in the second episode. I've been
Spoiler
watching
alert.
that show.
Yeah, right.
It happened already, so I'm not watching it. But what happened? You kill off the star, and then you insert.
You
A
find a
different-
lesbian. That's what they did. They found a lesbian co-star. It's
Not
goofy.
watching it. But,
Formulaic.
yeah.
Yes, I mean.
They found one. You know, it's like a.
No, they just introduce one. I mean, they just shove it down your throat at every angle.
So does that work?
Yeah.
See
though?
that breakdown, the cat's breakdown. Need a lesbian. Need a lesbian to stay at the show. Look, the woke agenda is, look, it appeals to a niche, right? There are people who want to watch that stuff. There's just not enough people to make any money. So they're either gonna figure that part out or they're not. But I mean, but people are looking. The business itself is pretty responsive to pain. Physical pain comes in Hollywood when you don't have money. That's the most painful thing that could possibly happen to you. And it's sort of happening. And so you're either going to learn that or you're going to die. And there are people who are learning it right now. And, you downloaded the Chosen app, but you could watch the Chosen on, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, if these guys wanted to, they're going to they're making more money this way. But if they wanted to, they could put that on broadcast television. I don't think there is a broadcast network that would not want the Chosen on their airwaves. They would just put it on in a second. Problem is that the guys making it, they want to make it their way, and they don't want to have any help, and they don't have any commercials, and they want to keep all the money themselves, and they are certainly entitled to do that. So,
Before we let you go, I didn't see who you wore at the Met Gala the other day. I was just wondering.
Oh, I went as a giant cigar.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh,
I'm not
It's
gonna
Halloween,
comment.
isn't it? It's Halloween for people who think they're too cool for Halloween.
No, so
well, the funniest thing about the Met Gala, which I know was sort of founded by Vogue, but it was driven by Coco Chanel and Hugo Boss, who were two Nazi sympathizers. Just point of order. I know that's completely that the Hollywood dilettantes are completely oblivious to this, but it always just.
Is this the first time Coco Chanel has been mentioned on your show?
No, it is not. No, it is not. Thank you for asking.
That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've got the same Coco Chanel couch that Kelsey Grammer had in Frasier. How about that?
Okay, wow, that's good. That's good.
Rob Long is a former writer, producer for Cheers, co-founder of Ricochet, and host of the Martini Shot podcast. Rob, thank you as always.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. We'll have you back. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly. Each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.